Today, I want to talk about a concept that has been very useful for me. And I recently learned this by reading a book from Elon Musk. It's actually a journalist writing about Elon's life. And the way I figured out this principle was just by observing what Elon was doing in all instances in this book. And it's something that I would like to call reductionism. And what it is it's reducing everything down to the core truths. Otherwise, first principles is what they're known as. But you're reducing everything down to these core truths that you know to be true, right? That's what makes it a truth. And then simplifying every part of the process that's involved in whatever you're doing to operate around these core truths. And it's getting rid of anything that's not useful. Anything that's an input that's not contributing to the output or is actually significantly causing the output to be a lower quality or overcomplicating the input process to make it where the inputs aren't as sustainable, or the system itself that the inputs are going into. Maybe there's parts of the system that don't need to be there. Maybe the outputs, maybe there's a specific output we're getting that we actually don't need, right? So it's looking at all parts of a process. And that's really like the game of marketing, guys. All it is processes, right? Your VSL funnel, that's a process. You have your input, your traffic, the system itself, that's the VSL, that's the funnel. The output are the sales calls that you're getting, right? Low ticket funnel, input, traffic, all the stuff that you've done, all the buildup, all the organic post. System is then going to be the actual, let's say, book funnel or sentient funnel. And then after that, your output is going to be what your output is going to be the actual byproduct of the customers that are coming from there. Are they having a high AOV, a low AOV? Are they liquidating your ad spend? Are they not, right? Like the outputs are the outcomes. Okay, so, I was thinking about this concept of what Elon was doing. The story is this, is that he submits to his coders and to his software engineers, like lines of code, just 130 lines of code. And basically he tells them like, hey, what do you think of this? And they go, oh, let me look at this. And they see what he's trying to achieve in the code. And they go, oh, well, this is 130 lines of code. We can do this in like 8. And then they did it in 8. And now it's simpler. It's actually way simpler to run the process. It doesn't make or take up as much CPU. It's not as complicated, right? Like they made it simpler. And Elon was like striving for that. That's why he hires really, really, really good engineers. Everything from the rockets to like, there's a simpler way for us to do this, to like Tesla literally doing updates on cars rather than us having to launch a new car every single year. What if we just updated the cars, right? Genius, right? So there's all these different concepts that they have that I just think are genius, where they're reducing, they're trying to get down to the first principles. He talks about this with the battery when they were trying to make the battery for Tesla. They said, oh, a battery is expensive, right, to make. But then if you look at the first principles, all the materials the battery is made of is not expensive. It's buying the battery itself pre-done that's expensive. And so he looked at, well, if all the things are not expensive to make a battery, all we have to do then is create our own system for creating batteries. And if we just buy the materials and we have our own system, we can produce batteries at a cheaper cost, right? So there's a fundamental accepted truth. This is how you have to do it. And you question that. You question that ruthlessly. And he questioned it and found that all the inputs are all of these different materials or minerals or whatever the hell it is for these batteries. And then the system was the battery production. And it's really that the battery production was the expensive part because you had to go to someone else. But he was like, what if we just did the battery production? And they did it, and it's Tesla. So they make all their batteries, right? Like it clearly worked out. So I want to show you guys an example of how I thought about this in my own business. And I think that this will be useful for you. So why don't we just go ahead and head on over to the good old whiteboard over here. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of a thicker marker going. I want to get that one, and we'll do black. Perfect. Okay. So here's how I applied this into my own business literally yesterday. So I recently joined Taylor Welch's mastermind, and I love Taylor. I think that Taylor is a phenomenal person. But what happens when you join a mastermind is you have a bunch of stuff thrown at you. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I started looking at like, okay, well, what's the ideal funnel for me to run right now? Because essentially what you have is you have something that gets attention, right? Here's your attention box. This is going to be your traffic. Then you have something that provides some form of not monetization. This is actually not monetization. This is demonstration, right? So this could be a VSL, this could be a low ticket funnel, this could be a free group, this could be an email newsletter, this could be et cetera, all of these things, right? It's just some form of a demonstration. What you want to do there is that. And then what you have is some form of monetization. For me, it's one-on-one. Like I do one-on-one with people. I find it to be the best product. I charge high ticket for it. I get the best results from that. I have amazing case studies from it. I love working with people on a high ticket one-on-one basis. We get better results. They take it more seriously. It's not like a group program where you throw 3 to 5K in and then you're just like checked out after a month because it's just, you're talking to CSMs. I hate that shit. For those of you that are early on, customer service manager or something like that is what, customer success manager, some shit like that, right? It doesn't really matter, right? So like, that's what you have, right? I was looking at, okay, well, what's my traffic? What's my demonstration? What's my actual output that I'm trying to get here? And what I found after looking at this and talking with a brilliant friend of mine and explaining to him what I'm trying to do with reductionism, he made me see that I was focusing on entirely the wrong thing. And it helped me apply this reductionism principle. And I'd like to show you it right now because maybe you can relate with me here. So my traffic, okay, let's just focus on traffic. I have like Twitter is a big form of traffic for me. I love Twitter. I think Twitter, otherwise known as X, right, is fantastic. It is some of the best big brain energy ever. The content on there, bar none. Some of the people I've met on there, bar none, right? Then there's Facebook, okay? Facebook is awesome. Anyone that's like, oh, Facebook's for my grandma, you're just not in the right groups on Facebook. I am friends with some amazing killers on Facebook. Some of the biggest marketers I know are primarily on Facebook and not on Twitter. So like, you should definitely get on Facebook. I like Facebook. There's Facebook, right? YouTube, that's where you're watching this right now. YouTube's pretty sick, right? And so outside of that, what else do we have? I'm not really doing a whole lot of IG, but there's also LinkedIn, right? Like these are all the different platforms. And so this is our traffic, right? So we have these different forms of traffic, and I don't do any paid ads. I only do organic. I don't have setters. I don't have closers. It's organic. Do you want to talk? Yes. Here's my call link. And then we get on calls, right? That's it. So that's Twitter, or I'm sorry, that's traffic. I was looking at the T and I thought Twitter, right? So that's the traffic. And then what happens is it needs to go into a demonstration asset. And so what I've had for the demonstration assets thus far is a group. And then also I did a newsletter for a bit, but here's the thing that I found. I'll circle back to what I found. Okay. Right. So people were going to this, and what was inside of this group was really just like courses, right? And the courses had call to actions, book a call, right? Like that was the funnel, right? And then what it gets to is my one-on-one, right? My monetization. So this is how my funnel was going, right? Doesn't it look like a funnel, right? So this is what I was doing for a funnel. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about reductionism, right? I'm thinking to myself like, okay, what can I actually, this may seem simple, but like, it's actually not. Like, I have to produce content on Twitter. I have to produce content on Facebook. I have to produce content on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. Sure, there's some like repurposing that can go back and forth here, but for the most part, you have to create, like the content that you create on YouTube is not necessarily the same that's going to work on Twitter, Instagram. Like these things aren't just interchangeable. You have to come up with content that matches the system and matches the platform. Like I gotta be humble young guy on Facebook, whereas I can be a little bit more brash on Twitter because my demographic is younger and has a higher testosterone count than Facebook, right? So I'm looking at this and this is a majority of the work is right here. Like that's the majority of the work. But the problem is then there's this, right? And the group, when I really looked at it over the past 4 or 5 months, I definitely took down like production or the production of the group went down in the last like month or so because I was like not really seeing that great of results from it. And here's what happened is that I started to see that like out of all the time, all the effort, all the energy and everything that I put into the courses, into the group, one person came from that. So I do about like 50, 60K a month with one-on-one. I mean, realistically, it's like 50, but you have a month where you sign on 3 people, right? Or you sign on a couple people. And so you have a lot, but then like the next month you maybe only do 1. And so like you average it out. I like to average things out. So I'm making around 50, let's say, every single month from coaching. And it's like only one person over the past like 4 months has come from group. Out of all the people I've worked with, right? Out of 13 fucking people, or whatever the number is, 1 came from group. You know what the rest came from? Just organic. Literally they just hit me up. And this is what my buddy told me last night. Shouts out to Kyrie Oliver, literally my brother. I love this man. He said, your audience hits you up when they're ready. And I was like, oh my God, that's so true. Look, I look at it, none of my audience is because I have 3 ICPs that I deal with, okay? I got this. We got drawings over there. I have ICP 1, ideal customer profile, for those who don't know. ICP 2, ICP 3. So ICP 1 is going to be, I call this the whale. This is someone like my client Taylor. Taylor Welch is just like booming. Like dude is doing like 8 mil a year, something like that, right? Like they're definitely, this person is a minimum of 3 mil plus, and they're doing that consistently and they're crushing, right? That's the whale. The shark, this person's gonna be probably around, I would say 30 to 100K a month, right? And they're doing this a year, by the way, I think. So, 30 to 100K a month, right? So anywhere from like 300 to 1.2 mil a year, right? ICP3 is under 10K a month. I think I did greater than there. Oopsies. They're under 10K a month. I don't want to do math right now. 10K a month, right? They're under that. These are the guys that are getting started, trying to find their wheels, their momentum, all of that. And it's like, who do I want to work more with? What I've stopped doing, let me go to this real quick. What I've stopped doing is I've stopped trying to tell myself that I like working with my 3rd ICP. I really don't. Like, I don't have patience for beginners. I try and act like I am, and I really care about people's beginnings and everything like that. And like, look, that's why I produce content and I put it out there, but I want it to stop at content. I don't want to interact with those people, and not in like a I'm better than you kind of way. It's just like, dude, it's really hard to get you results because you're still at this low level. Your number one problem is fucking mindset. And I'm not a fucking mindset coach. And it's very annoying when you're telling them to do stuff. Hey, did you hit outreach this week? And they're just like, oh, no, I didn't. I was really busy. It's like, bro, like we've established you want to get to fucking 20K a month. You getting to 20K a month is not going to happen from you doing service for clients. Like, sure, you can upsell your clients, but you got your clients. That's great. You need to make time for outreach. And it's just the most frustrating thing where it's the same problem consistently. The problem is consistency. That's what it is, right? So I don't really want to work with ICP3. The only way I want to work with ICP3 is through courses. Like, that's it. I just came to that conclusion that it's like, I don't want to have to deal with everything else. It's not worth it. And so ICP1 and ICP2, these people just hit me up when they're ready. Hey, dude, I was thinking that maybe you could help me with XYZ or whatever, because I saw this from you. And so I'm looking at my funnel, which is just beautiful, right? This looks so gorgeous right now. Let's reduce it a little. Let's practice some reductionism right now and erase some of this stuff, right? So I'm looking at my funnel and I'm seeing that, like, damn, I'm spending all this time. Yikes, there we go. It looks much cleaner. Okay, let's just say one arrow, right? I'm spending all of my time right here. Like, if I were to look at my time, it would be probably split between like 60% on this. And this doesn't really count, right? Like, I'm not on dozens of sales calls every day, so I'm not even going to give this a percentage. Like, it's 60-40. Letting people in, and then I'd be writing a newsletter, and then I'd be coming up with group posts. And I just reduced this down like quite a bit recently. I got this down to like 10% a month. And I saw that my business went up. Because where'd the time go? It went here. And so when the time went more into content and more into giving call to actions and more into like producing high value stuff, guess what? It worked better. It just worked better. Like more people hit me up because it just made sense to me that this right here is where all the money's at. And so you see what I mean? Like inputs, right? Systems, outputs, right? The system itself was so fucking, like, it's just unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. All this time that's being spent this, like out of whatever it was, out of 3 months, 130 or 104, no, probably about like 145. Yeah, so like 145K over 3 months, so like around 50, right? Like 10K of that came from fucking the group. 10K out of 150K, less than 10%. Why am I focusing on that then? And the worst part is, and I say worst part, but that was an ICP3 that came through. He just had a lot of cash because he's been working his career and he wanted to get started. Like that made sense, right? But I'd rather those guys just come to me naturally from my content. Like I don't need to do the group. I don't need to do all that. And so it became immediately clear to me once my buddy brought this up where he was like, hey, they're going to come to you when they need you. Like, bro, this is where all of my time needs to go. So what I'm going to do is essentially this. I'm going to give you guys my plot. So I'm not going to be posting in a group anymore. I'm not going to be doing that. Not for a while. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the group to house courses. And that's it. The ICP3, they'll buy the courses. That's fine. I'm totally cool with that. Courses, some people like going through them. I'll just put that in the group. This is not a group where I'm posting consistently. Okay, if you want to see me posting consistently, bop, 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 bop. Here's where I'll be at, okay? I think the best way to actually do that and house that is with a newsletter. 1 time a week, just a roundup. Here's what I did this week, right? So like, this is the kind of demonstration asset, right? And even then, like I'm looking at this, I'm like, what if I just got rid of the newsletter entirely? What if I didn't do a newsletter at all? So what if I didn't do a newsletter? What if I didn't do, like, I mean, courses are pretty great. I like courses, honestly. And what if I didn't do group posting? And what if all I did was focus all of my time on this? Like I said that out loud just a second ago. Like, well, maybe I should do newsletter. Do you see the old pattern? I'm like, oh, I could do like 1 time a week, right? But even now I'm looking at myself and I'm like, wait, why even do it at all? And someone may be like, well, Nick, but like newsletter works for me. Look, dude, I want you to understand something. Newsletter may work for you because your audience is on a newsletter, right? Like your audience reads newsletters. My audience are guys that really don't read newsletters because what? They're marketers. Like they don't want to be marketed to. They look at newsletters and they're like, oh man, oy vey, right? They're like, I don't want to be on that. I don't really want to go and read the thing and have to wake up every morning and see you trying to sell me something. Like they don't want that. So why the fuck am I why the fuck am I entertaining that? Why am I doing that? So even just looking at this, I think that this needs to be like as minimalistic as possible. It's my M right there for minimalistic. This needs to be literally like, I'm not posting in here anymore. It's just like, it's impossible as a solo person. Like I could go and hire content writers and everything, but I'm not trying to dilute my message, right? I want it to be that it's powerful across all these platforms. And sure, I have some helping hands that make it easier to produce it. But like, I don't want to spend energy here. Because all the yield comes from this and then people hitting me up and being like, yo, your shit's dope. I love it. Can we talk? No one's ever like, oh man, I really liked a lot from the group. You know what happens from the group is people are like, oh man, I really enjoyed this content. This is solid, man. Do you have more free stuff for me? And they just consume more free stuff and they just consume more free stuff. Why? Because they're ICP3. These guys need to consume content for like 2 years before they make a buying decision. And I don't personally, frankly, I don't really want to work with them. Look, great people, smart people, very, very talented people. I know a lot of people, short people, fat people, tall people, all types of people, right? And ICP3, they're just not fun to work with. That's my thoughts. So I'm losing my mind. So anyways, my point in sharing this, guys, is like, look at your funnel. Look at this shit, and I guarantee you there is something in there that's not producing yield that you're putting time and energy into. For me, it was group and spending time posting and welcome and everyone like that, and like having applications and having to go through the applications and all that. That's dumb. Like, it's just dumb. I'm just literally gonna host courses in there and that's it. I may even just open up the borders and just be like, fucking have at it. No private group. Fuck this. This is a dumb strategy. And I'm the one that's willing to go on record and say this strategy doesn't work for my audience. You'll have gurus that won't actually like share the process with you. Everything I do is a banger. Everything I do works. Not everything I do works. That's fucking marketing, buddy. That's it. That's what it is. Not everything works. You test and you try. And that's what this reductionism philosophy is. You're constantly testing and using what you're getting as inputs to drive the decisions that you're making. So it's like an internal input system output kind of thing, right? Like you're taking what are the results of everything that's happened and using that as an input to fuel the system, which is your decision-making process, to then yield a better output. And so for me, it's like, hey, let's reduce down the shit that's just not producing results. Because why the fuck should I spend time on that? If it's not producing results, if all the results are coming from me producing banger content, then I'm just going to spend more time producing banger content. So simple. So that's everything I got for you guys today. I thought this was extremely useful for me. I think you can look at this in your own funnel, find the part that is just not useful, and just go ahead and cut it, get rid of it. You don't need to have it in there. You'll be surprised that when you stop, maybe you're the same as me, you stop doing it and you get better results. Why? Because your time's not focused on the little brain shit. It's focused on the big brain stuff, which attracts the big brain people or the better clients. That's how this shit works. So that's everything I got for you guys. Peace.